10,000 views.
Sisters,
we shall not yield to tyranny.
Our cause just, we will prevail. The fight for our rights. Buffs, ready for a journey back? Look at this encampment. The spirit of 76 is alive.
Bobby, at this point, history. Shame on you. Shame on you. Because we are being played as the American people. Our money is funding a war that we don't need to be in. I shouldn't be okay with it. So as long as I have breath in my body and a mic to use, I will be speaking out against this.
A true patriot savors these moments, but the fight for liberty calls.
The economy, we have a global economy. That's why we're a number one economy in the world. I know that a lot of people want to paint the horrible view of America, but, you know, go live somewhere else and then tell me America's bad.
Patriotism is all about. Look at these flags. They represent our fight for liberty.
This is so freaking crazy to me that we have an conflict with Iran before a single person from the Epstein files has been arrested on American soil.
The hour our liberty is at hand. For freedom is brava. Brothers and sisters.
I was working, man, you know, but it's good to see Rippy out there handling business, man. And again, hey, that's a lot of black Trump supporters, man. I mean, it feels good to see that, man. So
My fellow patriots, the hour of decision is upon us. Let us march forth with courage to secure our liberty.
A real quote. People are getting sick of it. The moment a celebrity steps slightly outside the leftist approved narrative, they get attacked. Chili from TLC gets heat over allegedly donating to Donald Trump.
For liberty. The British advance. We must act.
Our supplies are low, but morale is high.
Then we fight for liberty.
Pain's work captures the spirit of we fight for independence.
With welcome to my that said they were anti-war. I think they said no new wars. Yeah, they voted for a president that was not going to start any new wars. And what's funny to me is that not only were you lied to, not only did this man start this and get out of the
freedom. Greetings from the encampment. The spirit of liberty is strong. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
Just in order to get the Greater Israel Project accomplished, you have to kill people. That's why it's wrong. Killing people is wrong. Full stop. So you can try to make sense of it with, well, it's a threat and this and that. There's no greater threat than the United States empire.
Vocabulary up because I'm throwing out words like hubris, acquiesce, verbose. What are you going to do about the dichotomy of the nuance?
To the encampment, for liberty.
And what I've learned, and I'm not a liberal or a Democrat. I voted for Trump the first time, but he's become a politician. He lies like all the other politicians. He deceives like all the other politicians.
Endures through every change and challenge. We stand at the dawn of liberty, unshaken by the trials ahead. Our cause in doing.
I'm going to go out on the limb and say anybody that sits in that oval does not like Americans. They love United States, though, which is the politics, but they don't love the Americans. Americans are farmers. Americans are mechanics. Americans are school teachers. Americans are mom and pop businesses.
And flaming! Soldiers, the enemy is near.
Not only do I love my FBA fam, my Black American fam, my Black people on code, you know, my people that's allies with us, as part of the fam. I love y'all. I love my country too. You feel me?
The cause to victory.
To victory. These pastries are wonderful.
Indeed, but we must stay vigilant.
$20. That Aaron Baker candidate NFL tweeted defending you against Dan.
I talked to him today, so maybe we can help him out a little bit.
Tony Sierra.
I think that Dan should drop out of the race and endorse one of the other people that's running, because you can't win. There's no way you're going to win. You don't live in the district. You don't even live in the state. You don't have any money unless he's going to self-fund. He said he's going to put $1 million into his campaign. I'd like to see that. And he's just already alienated himself. It's a plus 30 Trump district. It's all old people. You're not going to win on a platform of fuck Trump and fuck Israel. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I think he should just drop out and give money to Aaron Baker or there's this Italian guy. I haven't had enough time to look at both of them. I like Aaron. I talked to him. I don't know everything about him yet. But he should just drop out and endorse one of those people.
Tony Sierra sent $20.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Party. Why I like the new party? Number one, it's a group of people that's on a panel. We all have differences, but we all basically still come together at the end of the day. The new party for me is about unity. The new party for me is about educating people to the truth, letting people know what's been going on in our country. With that being said, shout out to the new party, man. We're going to keep it going with y'all.
Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
It's Mia.
And tonight on the new party, everyone, welcome to the show. If you're watching, please hit the like button. We're diving into one of the most talked about races right now in Florida politics, actually talked about around the country, and we'll get into why. Florida's 6th Congressional District, Dan Bilzerian, aka the famous poker player, an Instagram celebrity. He's now jumped into the Republican primary against incumbent Randy Fine, who is an Israel First candidate. And a lot of people are wondering why. Is it ego, foreign influence, or something else entirely? Is it America First? Is it a genuine campaign? We're asking that question tonight. And tonight we have the perfect guest to break it all down. He's a true America First fighter. He's run in the district before, and he's not afraid to tell the truth. And he actually, in my opinion, represents conservative Republican values. Please welcome to the show, everyone, Aaron Baker. Aaron, thank you for coming. We're so happy to have you tonight. Let everybody know why you're running and about the district and the makeup, because Nick brought up a good point.
Well, first of all, Nora and Mia, it is very nice to be here. Thank you both for having me. I do appreciate it. Why was it important for me to run in the first place? Because I thought that the people of this congressional district needed a voice of someone that would pay attention to them. And that's not what we have now. I mean, we have the most genocidal member of Congress to exist, certainly in my lifetime. And, you know, probably the most bombastic since, I mean, you would have to go back to, you know, Soviet pre-Cold War era when they were, when McCarthy was having almost witch trials in the Senate, to have someone that's so bombastic. So I simply want to do better. I mean, the people here are, you know, just good, hardworking people. The poverty rate is a little bit higher than the national average here. So, you know, we don't have a lot of money to play with. And we, you know, we respect hard work, and, you know, there are very simple things that we want here. We want somebody to do the things that Mike Waltz was doing, like working on beach erosion mitigation, working on the Life Saving Gear for Police Act, working on infrastructure. I mean, you know, all across Florida, there's so many 2-lane roads that need to be 4-lane roads. And simple things like clean drinking water. And what we're getting right now is just craziness. You know, it's okay, we're going to spend $1 billion, maybe $2 billion, depending on who you ask, on a war that none of us, certainly none of us voted for, and none of us ever thought that we would be in, because we were told the only way that that we even have a possibility to be in this war with Iran is because we have stupid people negotiating for us. And those were President Trump's words, you know, in the 2000s, and even before that, going all the way back to 2013. So I simply just want to do better. And I believe as a Christian that we have to respect all people. And that doesn't stop with, that doesn't just, if you look at what's going on in the Middle East right now, if you have more than one brain cell, and if you have a heartbeat at all, I mean, you see what's going on in Lebanon is not right. Certainly what's going on in Gaza is not right. And I don't think it's something that I believe the American people should be funding. It's too much of a burden on the everyday consumer, for what we're going through. I don't see any end. The Iranians, you do have to laugh at them a little bit. I mean, they have some of the best Lego movies that I've seen since Lego movies came out. They're certainly winning the PR game. And, I understand we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. And I think it's fair to say that most of us were like, okay, when we flew B-2 bombers over and, we dropped bombs on the nuclear facility, mission accomplished, and then we turned around and came back. We're like, okay, that's okay. But I mean, this prolonged nonsense where we're trying to open a strait that was open 3 months ago it's not what we voted for.
I agree. I'm going to allow everyone to ask a question, but before we do, you bring up your concerns with the Middle East. Aaron, tonight we're going to be asking you some really hard questions because I want to break through the lies that have been said about you. Why is there a rumor saying that you are Israel first? Like, where did that come from? Because that's what I've been seeing on X a lot. People have been saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at Dan's camp, it's very fair to say that there's some point in your life at which something happens and you're like, okay, what the hell is going on, for lack of better terms? Excuse my language. And for me, that was about April, May of last year when the Israeli government picked up Mohammed Ibrahim, who is a citizen of Florida, born in Florida, teenage kid, 15 at the time, and was holding him in detention without any trial at all. And at that point, then there's always something in your life that happens that makes you say, okay, well, let me investigate further. And then you start looking at all of the reporting coming out of Gaza, and you're like, this isn't trying to track down terrorists. The U.S. has tracked down terrorists before. You look at any place that we've ever been in conflict, and we've never gone in and simply just carpet bombed the entire country into oblivion with no regard for any civilian casualties at all. And that's where we are now. So I did change my mind on Israel, and it was about a year ago, April or May, sometime in there.
I understand, Dan. Dan. I understand, Aaron. I'm pretty guilty because I was looking at a clip of him. I understand, Aaron. I'm pretty guilty of that too. Being a Christian, we are taught in the American church to support Israel. Also, I have a connection with Israel as being half Moroccan. I have family members that moved from Morocco to Israel. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that. And I also have family in the Moroccan government, and they are very supportive of Israel. So there's that too. But I want to play this clip of Dan Bilzerian, and then I'm going to let Mia ask the first question. This is what he had to say about how he feels about Israel. And I just want to ask, my follow-up to you before I have her take over is, how do you differ from this?
The only real battle in the world today that I see worth fighting is fucking, exterminating Israel. I mean, I would sign up tomorrow and go fucking put boots on the ground and go fucking kill Israelis. That would be a great day for me. I would fucking sign up on the fucking draft waiver wherever. Give me a rifle and send me the fuck over there. I truly believe that the majority of that country is evil and they're perpetuating a genocide. They've been operating apartheid. They're suppressing those Palestinians. They're attacking their neighbors. They're operating like terrorists. They're fucking arrogant, ungrateful bastards, and they need to be wiped off the fucking map. So,
Dan Bilzerian, thanks.
So that to me is very harsh rhetoric to hear. How do you differ as a candidate from that, and what do you think the response should be to break away from Israel? Because when you are elected, because we're going to speak it into existence, what can we do if you're a congressman to break away from that hold that we have or connections that we have to Israel?
Well, it's simple. We can stop funding. I mean, but I don't think that at one point I had kind of softened my stance to where I said, okay, no offensive, but at this point, even for the last 6 months, no offensive, no defensive funding, no defensive sales of weapons. It is against the law for the United States government to sell Israel weapons because they are an undeclared nuclear power. And, it's been just this week, there were 20 representatives from the House that sent a letter to the president stating just that IAEA inspectors should be allowed to go into Israel and see what type of nuclear weapons they have, because we don't know. I mean, we might, have, a file somewhere in a file cabinet of somebody knows, but general population, we don't have a clue, what type of firepower they have behind the scenes. That's not right.
That's a fair point. Mia, what's your question?
So my question would be, we are going to speak you getting elected into existence. So after your election, once you're elected, are you willing to go up against the elderly rhinos that we have right now that are controlling not only the Republican Party, but in general, just both houses of Congress? Because right now we have a group of elderly people that are in control. They're the ones that are doling out the committee seats. They're the ones that are doing this. So it's going to put you in a position where you're going to take a lot of heat from a lot of people, especially if they need your one vote, or maybe you're with a block of people where they're 10 votes short for a majority per se. So how are you going to handle that kind of stress? And do you think you're going to buckle, or are you going to dig your heels in, double down and say, no, this is what's best for the American people? Because we need strong individuals who are going to dig their heels in and buckle down and say no. I don't care if the government has to shut down. Sometimes we all have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in order to make the road better for all Americans and be on an America First narrative.
And that you're 100% correct. And that might mean, that you're only there for 2 years. And if that's the case, that's the case. But first of all, I would never vote for anything that's unconstitutional. I will never vote for anything that goes against my morals, and I'll never vote for anything that I think goes against Floridians or the people of the 6th Congressional District. And to your exact point, yes, you have to dig your heels in. You see right now, we have basically one representative on the Republican side that has dug his heels in and said, no, I'm correct, and the other 434 of you are incorrect. And that's Thomas Massey. And God willing, he wins his primary next week, because that really is the model of saying, okay, I'll vote with the Republican Party 91% of the time, but if they're starting a war, if they're raising debt, or if they're doing something unconstitutional, count me out.
I agree.
No, I agree. Yeah. Sorry. My other question has to do going back to your district and who actually lives here. This was when your opposing candidate or your opposition announced he was running. This is what he had to say.
Your opponent, this fat Jew. So he's not from Israel, but you called a guy in Florida this fat Jew. How is that not anti-Semitic?
Well, he's a Jewish supremacist, and he puts Israel before America, and I think that he should be tried for treason.
This fat Jew is anti-Semitic.
Yes.
Dan.
I mean that's what you say, but how about
that's
every single time
that's what
Muslims?
I know. I don't say it. I know
he
it.
literally talks about how Muslims are lower than dogs. So is that Islamophobic?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is, and that wouldn't be. That's not appropriate for him to say either. If he had said that,
but he does all the time, and he tweets that, and he's a senator.
Are you anti-Semitic?
No, I'm not anti-Semitic. I think that that's kind of a made-up term. I think the Palestinians are the real Semites. Term? Yes, because if you look at what a Semite is,
was Hitler anti-Semitic?
What's that?
Was Hitler anti-Semitic?
Like I said, it's the term is focused solely on Jews, but actual Semites are the Arabs, and Palestinians are Semites as well, and they actually have more DNA lineage to that.
I can only take so much of him. So my question, bringing that up, is there's a rumor that he doesn't even live in the area. How can you run and you don't live in the area? Is that true? And tell me about the area that you're running for and the makeup of it.
It's 100% true. Dan lives in Las Vegas. So under the Constitution, it says that you have to live in the state in which you represent. So what Dan has said is if he wins, that he'll move to Florida. Doesn't mean he has to move to the 6th Congressional District. Right now, Randy Fine does not live in the 6th Congressional District. He lives 100 miles south in Melbourne Beach. Closest point is Daytona, which is 95 to 100 miles away. So you don't have to live in the district. That's in the Constitution, but you do have to live in the state. So Dan would have to move from Nevada to Florida in order to represent Florida's 6th Congressional District. As far as the makeup of the congressional district, this congressional district on the coastal side starts at Daytona Beach, goes up about 60 miles to St. Augustine beaches, so just to the south of St. Augustine, and basically goes over to the middle of the state, all of Putnam County, so very rural area, about half of Marion County, which is known as the horse capital of the world, down to where I live in Lake County, and then over to Volusia County, where Daytona Beach is, and then right in the midst of everything is Flagler County. So, Flagler Beach, very historic area. They're celebrating their 100th birthday this year. So there's a lot of rich history here, especially being so close to St. Augustine, literally on the outskirts. But the demographic is much older. And this is a conversation that I had with Dan before he announced that he was going to run. I said, Dan, you have to understand the people here. The average voting age in the Republican primary, and this was a conversation that I had with Nick also yesterday. The average voting age in the Republican primary is 57 years old. I don't care if you have 30 million Instagram followers. That makes no difference to anyone unless, somebody sent me a message today and they're like, is there any circumstance in which you would drop out and endorse Dan? I said, well, first of all, Dan isn't even registered to vote in Florida. And secondly, Dan hasn't even filed the paperwork to run in Florida. He's filed the federal paperwork to form a committee and raise money, but he hasn't filed the paperwork to run in this congressional district. I've already collected the candidate petitions to be on the ballot, so I'll be on the ballot no matter what, and I don't have to pay this time. But I think it's a complete misunderstanding of the political system and this congressional district, and you're not going to reshape. You're not going to take an electorate that's 57 years old and switch that to 20 years old in the matter of 2 months. You have to be registered to vote by July the 20th in order to vote in the August 18th primary. And you have to be registered Republican. So unless, him and his band of whoever are going to come down here and register 20,000 people a month, in the next 30 days, and then 20,000 people again in the following 30 days. I mean, you're talking about trying to register, 600 people a day for 60 days straight to get in anywhere close to the numbers that you would need in order to redraw the demographic of this congressional district. And it's simply not possible.
Well, all he did, and this was my main thing, and Aaron, I messaged you this privately. He split the vote. And poly markets are saying Randy Fine now has a better chance to win, by the way, now that he's entered the race. Go ahead, Mia. What's your next question?
I was going to say the same thing. So it appears to me that Dan Bilzerian is probably being paid by some sort of offshore account from Randy Fine's Israeli backers, because he did it very strategically and very beautifully. So you could have been a very good contender, or you are a very good contender, but now we have Dan Bilzerian, who obviously it's very hard to go up against somebody like Dan Bilzerian just because he has the kind of name recognition. Like, you see him, you know who he is. I mean, most people know who he is, especially if you're very tuned into social media, YouTube, all of it. And a lot of men follow him as well because of the kind of lifestyle that he lives or has previously lived. He's like this poker guy, allegedly, or whatever. But basically what he did is come in and split the vote. So it's almost like he's going so anti-Jew, so anti-Semitic, so hard on Randy Fine. It's almost like that's on purpose. Like he's being paid by the same people that he's talking crap on purposely to make it more difficult for you. So Randy Fine has a shoe-in because now Dan Bilzerian is splitting the votes and making it harder.
I think Dan is taking away a certain percentage of votes. But again, if we go back to the electorate, average 57.2 years old, how many men between the age of 18 and let's say 30 are registered to vote Republican? I looked at one precinct the other day, and I can break it down because we've got all the voter files electronically on everything. And I looked at one precinct, and if I pulled up men between the ages of white men between the ages of 18 and 30 in that entire precinct, and keep in mind my precinct that I live in has about 800 people registered to vote in it, there were 3, and none of the 3 had ever voted in a primary before. They had all voted in the last general election, but none of them had ever voted in a primary. So, you're not only searching for the, blue unicorn that is supposed to come save you, but you're searching for the blue unicorn with wings that doesn't exist. So, good luck. But, I think Dan is maybe a 3 to 5% candidate. I don't know how you get over that with the rhetoric that you have, or that Dan has, because it's just not practical. You're always going to get some people that are going to be like, I'm going to go vote for Dan. But what you and I experience every day on online is not the reality of what's on the ground. If the reality of what's on the ground is the same as what's online, I would be sitting in Congress right now, and Randy Fine would be at home in Melbourne Beach because I would have won the last election. So I understand the difference between, online and reality. And I think that that's something that Dan just doesn't want to take the time to even consider.
Well, my concern, Aaron, is there seems to be a coordinated attack, to Mia's point. Like, this is coordinated. First, it was him jumping in. Now this attack on you. Also, this simultaneous attack on Nick Fuentes. I know you spoke with him. I'm going to pivot to my next question. What happened with As a PAC? Why are they now backing in? What have they told you? And what is your future support you'll be having? Do you have any other organizations backing you?
So that's a very interesting question, because originally As a PAC had reached out, and this was in the summer of last year, I think July, August, sometime of last year, and the first candidate they endorsed was Jose Vega. The second candidate that they endorsed was me. And the third candidate that they endorsed was Mike Wilnow, who was running in the 11th Congressional District, which is right next to 6th here in Florida. So we had, very good relationship. However, and both Mike and I had traveled from Florida to an event that Dr. Rechtenwald, who was the founder of ASAPAC, was at with Shabbos Kestenbaum in Atlantic City at Word War Debate. And this was back in, I think, January. So, these are people that we've met in person, people that we've talked to, people that we've sat down and had a meal with, both Mike and I. However, I think the problem is people think that, okay, if somebody has 30 million Instagram followers, that's going to help me raise more money. And that's going to help me do different things. If you look at the finances, and I'll let the independent journalist take a look at the finances of the PAC, but you can see where the money goes, and I don't think the old saying, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." I think that ASAPAC might have been started with the best of intentions, but I don't know that. I had conversations with him as recent as last week, and I spoke to the treasurer as recent as yesterday morning, who gave me no indication at all that they were going to drop me. And the conversations that I was having with them was specifically about Dan, because I said, how do you want me to still be a part of this PAC? How, at some point I may have to step away from this PAC, because I don't agree with someone saying, I'm going to pick up arms and go exterminate Israelis. That to me is no better than Randy Fine saying, may the streets of Gaza overflow with their blood. So, we're trading, far right for ultra far right. I don't agree with either one of those positions. It's pretty simple for me. I just want to stop killing people. And then beyond that, we'll figure out a lot of other things. So I don't
relate.
know.
I'm questioning, am I still a conservative or a Republican? Because I don't support this whole, giving endless money to Israel and killing kids, but I also don't support this far right extremism of lumping all Jewish people in this horrible box and saying that they're terrible, horrible people and we should just go after them. It gives me H vibes. It gives me Nazi vibes, and I'm not with that. And this is what he has to say, and then I'm gonna let Mia ask the last question. We just have a few more questions for you. This is what he said on Alex Jones.
So again, I want Israel to stop doing what it's doing. And Dan, do you think Israel's one monolith? Do you think they're all bad over there?
No, I don't think they're all bad, but I do think it's a sick society. And you brought up the shootings at the food station. There was, so many examples of just horrific things. Hind Rajab, Rachel Corrie, you've got there was the Palestinian ambulance workers that had their lights on. They're in uniform. They're going to help somebody, and they got gunned down by Israelis. Israel denied it, and then they found the footage in the shallow grave that they had buried these people. That showed exactly, what they said was a complete lie. They had just gunned down Palestinian ambulance workers. They've done so many atrocious acts. And you look at their society, and a lot of their society supports this. More than 50% support this genocide that's going on in Gaza. More than 50% believe that they're operating and living in apartheid and support it. So it's a society of supremacy, and that supremacist mindset comes from the Jewish religion in general, because Judaism believes that they are chosen by God and that they are better than other people. And if you look into the Talmud of what it says, it's okay to lie, cheat, and steal from non-Gentile or from Gentiles. Jews have different sets of laws than Gentiles. So they really look at themselves as being better than Gentiles and separate from Gentiles. And I think that is the source of the problem. It's not Israel, it's the religion, which is why, I'm not just anti-Zionism. I am against Jewish supremacy because these problems have been occurring before Israel.
Okay, Mia, what's your question?
Yeah, obviously Dan he feels very strongly about Jewish people and Israeli residents. He clearly feels very strongly about that. I guess my biggest thing is we need a true America First candidate. Somebody who looks at the potholes and said those need to be filled. Why do we have other countries that get free healthcare, free college, but we're driving over potholes? Our bridges are closed. Our kids can't read. Right now, we have 14 million children in the United States. Obviously, that encompasses part of Florida as well that are food insecure, which is a fancy way of saying these children do not know when their next meal is going to come from. And we just keep perpetuating in this cycle of war, while our kids are malnourished, while they're ill-educated, while the United States, the only reason we had any GDP growth was through tech. If you subtract the tech, we're actually a net negative because we're not producing anything. It's just tech investment at this point in time. So, it's a tall order for you to be America First and to get into Congress and to kind of dig your heels in. So what is your plan for that to kind of perpetuate this America First narrative? Like, we're not giving money to people. We're going to feed our kids. And we're going to try like hell to actually fix this country before we start going and warring in other countries.
I think that we need to start electing people that still understand what's going on a daily basis. Yesterday was the last day that we could turn in candidate petitions, and I had one lady that had collected petitions down, actually in Melbourne, where Congressman Fine is from. And that's a pretty long drive. It's about 100 miles down there. So on the way back, I stopped to get gas. And, I'm very fortunate that I can fill up my gas tank. And it was $124. Keep in mind, I drive a Suburban. It has a huge gas tank, but still $124. But that's not the bad part. The bad part is the person in front of me when, I always look at how much gas the person before me got, and they got $3 worth of gas. That's not even a gallon of gas. That means that they can drive 6 or 7 miles to work. They probably can't afford to eat lunch, and then they can drive 6 or 7 miles back and then pray that they have the money to get back to the gas station and do it again tomorrow. The idea that now, there's a bill in Congress that we're going to pay for IDF soldiers' health care and benefits. On what planet is this okay? To your point, we have food insecure people in every neighborhood now, and it's gotten so much worse with the price of gas going up by, roughly 55% or so. Parents can't afford to feed their kids. Parents can't afford to feed themselves. They can't afford to, they can barely afford to get to work. And that's it. We have to stop the madness. We have to stop funding these foreign wars. We have to stop, helping everyone else on the planet and help ourselves. And dear Lord, at some point we have to start paying down our debt. Once our debt exceeds 25%, once the service on the debt exceeds 25% of our total budget, there's very little practical way that we can turn back. We have to get to a point of Rand Paul common sense of being able to cut 6 cents off the budget to be able to say, okay, maybe the Department of War, Department of Defense, whatever you want to call it, I really don't care, doesn't need $1 trillion. We're spending more on the Department of War than we are on Social Security. And what we've done over the years is we've stolen the retirement from our seniors because they're not getting a cost of living increase. I mean, are you kidding me? When you have inflation at 6 or 7%, and then you give them a 2.8% cost of living increase, you're stealing more and more money from seniors. I have so many seniors right here in this congressional district that live in mobile home parks, manufactured home communities where the ground rent keeps going up and up and up. And some of them, it's gone from $900 4 years ago to $1,700 or $1,800 a month now. And if I take a single widow that's on Social Security and she's getting $2,304 a month, and now all of a sudden she's paying $1,800 a month just to be able to keep a roof over her head for ground rent. This one specific lady told me, she said, Aaron, my dog is 16 years old, and I have to decide if I'm going to feed my dog or if I'm going to eat because I don't have the money to do both. And that's not the America that I grew up in, and that's not the America that I want for our senior citizens. It is not the America that I want for the next generation. So something has to change.
I agree. Mia, do you have any more questions?
I definitely want to comment and say how refreshing it is for somebody to come on this panel and be honest, because Americans are screaming about how we can't afford to eat, how we can't afford our water bills, how we can't afford our electricity. And now we have the invasion of data centers that are invading our rural areas and sucking up all of the water, causing cancer, causing respiratory issues and respiratory distress, noise, and just destroying the environment in general. And my biggest thing is, how do you feel about the environment? Are you data center friendly? Are you anti-data center? If you were to get into Congress, would you advocate for no data centers, or would you advocate for data centers? Because data centers is like a little pet project of mine. I'm very anti-data center. I live in a very mountainous region where we have 4,000 foot mountains. I'm an avid hiker, so I spend a lot of time outside and just protecting the environment, keeping the air fresh, keeping the water clean, and just keeping the landscape as it should be is very important to me. So how do you feel about environmental?
So I was born here in Florida. I was born in Polk County. We have a very famous sheriff in Polk County. Grew up in Western Kentucky, but my grandparents and great-grandparents both lived in Polk County when I was a little kid. So I spent my time on the chain of lakes in Winter Haven, and spent my time going to the Daytona 500 in Daytona Beach and going to Daytona Beach. That was the beach that I grew up on. It's the first beach that I ever remember being a little kid. And I remember my mother used to sunburn because my mother has a lot more Irish blood. Fortunately, I have a little more Puerto Rican blood in me because my grandmother's Puerto Rican. But I just remember my mother would turn just beet red. And we absolutely have to protect our environment here. This is what we live for in Florida. If you are a true Florida person, you love nothing more than the outdoors. And we have some of the most pristine springs. The entire Ocala National Forest is in this congressional district. Okay, so it's a huge congressional district. We have all of these natural springs where it's the most pure water possible. I will do everything in my power to make sure that there is not a data center within 100 miles of the state of Florida. You have plenty of space out in the middle of Arizona or Nevada, in the middle of a desert. Go put it out there. You might hurt a cactus, okay? They can build their own power plants out there. One thing that most people don't understand in Florida, we're running out of water. We have a shortage of electricity. Let's do something that actually makes sense. Put me on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. I know it's not the most glamorous committee, but we have to figure out some real problems. Let's build some actual power plants so that in Florida, our power costs are cost of electricity are not going up by 40% over the next 4 years, although it's already going to go up by 40% because that's already, that's already baked in the cake. But beyond that, there are things that we can do about it, but we have to get off of our ass and start helping the American people before the rest of the world. One of the things that, Spirit Airlines just went out of business, a Florida-based airline that I flew a lot. And I was very proud of it. I could take my backpack and I could go just about anywhere, and it would be, usually $100 round trip. So, I flew all over the place. But if you look at why Spirit Airlines went out of business, it was because of the cost of fuel. And you look at the next airlines that are right behind that. You've got JetBlue, Allegiant, Breeze, American Airlines, and it's all because of the cost of fuel. So how do we make the cost of fuel less expensive when we can't control the world's supply of oil at any given moment because somebody might decide they want to close the Strait of Hormuz when it was open, but that's a different story. We need to build more gasoline and diesel refineries in the U.S. that are much more modern. The last diesel refinery was built in 1976 before I was born. I mean, that was 50 years ago. What are we doing to our own infrastructure? We're letting it fall apart. We're not helping our people. We're not helping our businesses. It sounds, everybody's like, oh, well, what, Spirit fell. It's the government put them out of business. The government wouldn't let them merge 3 years ago with JetBlue. And now because of the war, a 60% spike in fuel prices. This is the government doing the exact opposite of what they need to be doing. They need to be staying out of our lives and helping protect our rights. That is the only responsibility that the government has, is to protect our rights. And they're doing everything but that right now. So I will do everything in my power to protect every square inch of this great state, because we only have one shot at it. And God is not going to make any more land for us. So unless we're going to figure out how to go to Mars or the moon and live there, the land that we have here is all that we have.
I agree. Well, Aaron, we appreciate you for coming. I'm going to allow you to give your closing thoughts. Thank you again for coming. Let everybody know how they can support you in the next steps in your campaign.
Sure. So my website is very easy. It's flaaron.com. You can, if you can spread the word, if you can, share anything on social media, if you can donate $5, we have roughly about 98 days until the primary. So if someone has the ability, and I know money is tight, if somebody has the ability to donate $5 a month, let me use the example of $6. So a yard sign costs $3. So $6 a month buys 2 yard signs times the next 3 months, that buys 6 yard signs. Everything helps. Everything adds up. If you can only donate $3, okay, that buys a yard sign. I had somebody tell me today in Palm Coast, oh, I see that your yard signs are starting to go out. Yes, we delivered, I think it was 38, 39, 37, somewhere in that range, over the last weekend. So, it's everything. We're going to start door knocking. We have the volunteers set up. If you would like to volunteer with our campaign, reach out. Just let's get back to a point of common sense. Let's get back to a point where it's the United States that I grew up in, where you love your neighbor and you want to help your neighbor. You want to help your community. Let's stop killing people. Let's stop taking care of the rest of the world, and let's help each other. My closing statement would be, Dan Bilzerian needs to get on a plane back to Las Vegas, take whatever money he's raised, go back to whatever phone party he came from, and get the hell out of my state.
Yes. Last question. We have secret undercover fans here of Nick Fuentes. I'm not going to name who. Some of them are Democrats on our team. They're not here tonight. But is there an interview in the works? Is there anything planned? Like, he can help you raise that money, honey. I don't know if you've been watching Nick's show, but he easily raises $100,000 a night on his super chats. Is there some collaboration in the works?
We spoke in person, or not in person, but we spoke on the phone yesterday. Unfortunately, my time was limited because I was literally sitting in a Republican meeting in St. Augustine, and he called me, and I'm like, well, obviously I need to talk. So I said, okay, I've got 10 minutes. And so we spoke for, I think, about 12 minutes or so, maybe 15. I'm not exactly sure. And we are going to have more conversations in the future. I think that the current attempted coup of the America First Party has been tamped down, and Dan Bilzerian is not the leader of the America First Party. We need to use a little bit of common sense here and know, what side of history we want to be on. And you may not agree. And I told Nick this yesterday. I said, we're not going to agree on everything, but I can guarantee you we're probably going to agree on 90% of what we talk about. And he said, if we agree on 50% of what we talk about, that's 50% more than what I agree with Randy Fine. And I have no interest in starting a fight. I originally had no interest in starting a fight with Dan. I was just going to let him do his thing. But I have no interest in hearing anyone that tells me that they want to take up arms and go exterminate any race of people. I have no problem with Jewish people. I have no problem with Muslim people. I have no problem with Christians. I have no problem with Hindus. What I have a problem with at this exact moment in time is the genocidal government of Israel. I don't believe that we can support or should support the genocidal government of Israel when they can't even tell us where their boundaries are. They can't tell us where the boundary is with Lebanon. They can't tell us where the boundary is with Gaza. I don't support the Greater Israel Project. I think that they need to be put in check, but that does by no means mean that it is appropriate to say that we are going to exterminate an entire civilization. There's no place in politics for any language like that, whether it's from Dan Bilzerian or if it's from Randy Fine. Both of them need to get the hell out of my state. One can go back to Las Vegas, where he's from, and one can go back to Arizona, where Randy Fine's from.
Agree. We got to take back our country. We got to take back our state. Aaron, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We're going to bring you back on. When is the primaries? August, right?
August the 18th.
Oh, Aaron, if you have James Fishback's number, please tell him to stop dodging us. We had a date with him. Tell him how nice we are. If you could just put that plug in, because we really want to have a conversation with Mr. Fishback. But again, Aaron, thank you so much. We're going to let you go, and then we're going to do our closing thoughts. So thank you for coming.
I'll see him Friday in St. Augustine. So I will. I have your number. I will make sure
Please.
that I will make sure that
he wrote me back and he wants to come on, but then he gave us to some assistant, and the assistant, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's all James.
I get it. I get it.
I appreciate you, Aaron, and
we
will support
no problem.
you.
And James did endorse me, so yeah, we have a very good working relationship together. Just final thought, God bless you, Nora. God bless you, Mia. I really appreciate being on here.
Thank you.
And, anytime I can do anything for you, please, do not hesitate to ask me for anything.
Same.
It was so good to see you a second time.
Yes,
thank
Aaron.
you.
I need to come to your events because I'm not far from you. I'm in Central Florida. I don't want to say where there's a lot of crazies on here. But yes, I'm not far from you. I need to come meet you in person. I'm going to make a concerted effort this summer, and we'll bring you back on closer to it. We appreciate you for coming.
Thank you. God bless
Thank
you.
you. God bless.
God bless you.
Wow.
This was
America,
fun. We
Mia.
need to start a new segment. 2 girls, 1 podcast.
Well, girl, we about to be doing it pretty soon because I don't feel like chasing nobody down to add nobody to the night. Because this is how it is. This might be how it is.
That's what we're going to call it. 2 girls, 1 podcast.
2 girls, 1 podcast. This was great, guys. Guys, we are seeing real life suppression here. YouTube, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, honey. YouTube, y'all trying us, but the X is booming tonight. So if you guys are watching us for the first time, make sure you guys head on over to YouTube, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. Okay, Mia, we're both tired mommies. I know you want to get to your bed. What's your closing thoughts?
This was a phenomenal episode. As always, thank you, Erin, for coming on. This is the second time we thought to interview you, and just like the first time, it was great. Erin truly is, like, I don't even want to call him America First, because I feel like sometimes when you say America First, it's a lot of people think negatively. I think he is just a common sense man. Real salt of the earth, common sense man. Everything he said was just common sense. You'd think everybody would operate that way, but surprisingly, common sense is not so common. I'm really going to pray for Erin. I know he's going to win. We need to get Randy Fine out, and we need to take back our country. We need to take it back from the corporations that think it's okay to poison the air, poison the water, poison the food. And we also need to take our country back from the international influencers who think that they own us. Just because you own our politicians doesn't mean you own us. And they need to be very afraid, because there's 360 million of us, and eventually we're going to be done.
Thank you, Mia. Guys, listen, as a Floridian, my heart, my soul, my blood is here. This was the first state my family came to. My family has had roots here since the 1960s, going into the 70s. And I'll say this, enough is enough. We're done with the circus. We're done with the celebrity stunts, the ego-driven candidates, and extremist sideshows. I'm sick of the extremism in this country. Just like we denounce radical leftists, I'm going to denounce radical right-wing extremists. And I'm sorry, Dan falls into that. This district doesn't need more drama, guys. If you are a Floridian, you love your state, why would you vote for somebody that doesn't even live here? Why would you vote for somebody that's not even from here? Aaron's family goes back generations. It's time to reject extremism and return to common sense conservatism. And Aaron is that candidate, guys. Secure borders, lower taxes, fixing the economy, lower gas prices, strong families, and putting Florida first and putting this country first. Because when you're voting for a congressman, you're voting for someone to represent the state across the country and making votes that affect the entire country. So this, although this is a small district, it affects the entire country. All right. And that's why I'm proudly standing with Aaron Baker, a battle-tested America First warrior who actually lives here in Florida, not a transplant from Vegas. While he comes here, wipes his paws, because I'm so sick of these people coming from around the country, New York, Vegas, California, coming here, partying, wiping their paws on our state. This is our state. He's not a celebrity tourist like Dan Bilzerian. He's a real Floridian who understands our communities, our struggles, and our values. And if you're tired of the nonsense, I need you to go support Aaron Baker. Give $5. Even if you don't live here in Florida, you can make a donation. It's time to take action, guys. If you're here in Florida, get registered, get informed. And if you live in Florida 6, vote for Aaron Baker in the August primary. Real leadership starts with us, guys. It's time to take our state back, our district back, our country back. And if you are a part of that, please make sure you subscribe to the new party as we continue to bring these only stories you hear first. God bless, good night, and stay safe.
Hello, history buffs. Ready for a journey back? Look at this encampment. The spirit of 76 is alive.
A true patriot savors these moments, but the fight for liberty calls.
To the encampment for freedom of our future.
For liberty. This is what American patriotism is all about. Look at these flags. They represent our fight for liberty.
The hour of our liberty is at hand. For freedom is proper. Secure our liberty. My fellow patriots, the hour of decision is upon us. Let us march forth with courage to secure our liberty.
Welcome to my colonial home. Today, Del Payne's work captures the spirit of we fight for independence. And our freedom. Greetings from the encampment. The spirit of liberty is strong. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
Hour is late. We must enact. To the encampment. For liberty. Through every change and challenge. We stand at the dawn of liberty, unshaken by the trials ahead.
Soldiers, the enemy is near. Front line, flapping.